adding and subtracting fractions, when we are trying to add or subtract fractions, they have to be of the same denominator. Which one's the denominator? The number up the top or the bottom? Bottom is the denominator. My pen's just gone flat. How good. So on here, 4s are the denominator. They're the same. So we can add those together. And we don't add the 4s together. We just add the numerators together. So if the denominators are the same, we can add the numerators together. 7 plus 2 is 9, so it's 9 over 4. Down here, are the denominators the same? Do you all not have voices?
Yeah.
I'd like to think that you know the difference between 4 and 3. Thank you, Taylor. So 4 and 3 are not the same, so we can't add them straight away. We have to actually do one more step before we can add those numerators together. Now, I'll give you 2 seconds just to copy down the yellow and the green examples. Try and use a different colour pen where you can. Alright, so when those denominators are different, those steps on the right in the blue, that's all we have to follow. So list the multiples of each number, and that's referring to your denominator down the bottom. So here I made a little list. 3 is going to be up the top, 4 is going to be down the bottom. What's a multiple? Anyone know? Pardon? So, yeah, I think you're kind of on the right track. Anyone got a better idea? What's a multiple? Yep.
Numbers that keep going.
So like multiples of 3, could you give me those?
3.
Yeah. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. It's just your times tables. So multiples of 3 are just the 3 times tables. 3, 6, 9, 12, and so on. Multiples of 4 would then be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. You just keep counting up in that number, in multiples of that number. So lowest common denominator, you could also confuse that. Not confuse that, it's the same thing. With the lowest common multiple, same thing. So let's list our multiples of 3. Everyone do that in your books now. You don't need to write 3 again because it's already there. 6, 9, 12, and 15 as well. And it's not a bad... A lot of people will start listing multiples of 3 and they'll get to like 36, and they'll just kind of get a bit carried away. But they've wasted a lot of time because there's actually a common multiple between 3 and 4 well before that. So list the multiples of 4, 8, 12. What's that second step say? Stop. Yeah, stop when you find the same number in both lists. 12 appears in both lists, give it a circle. Now this is a little bit more writing after this. So our lowest common denominator is going to be 12. So we're going to try and make both the denominators 12. So I'll give you a bit more time to write this down. So let's look here, 4 over 3. We said our LCD was 12, so we need to try and make our denominator here 12. What do we have to times 3 by to make it equal 12? Four. And what do we have to times 4 by to make it equal 12? 3. So that's step 3 done. And then if we go down to down here, we need to change the numerators as well. So in step 4, multiply the numerator by the same number the denominator was multiplied by. So 4 over 12, we need to change the numerator. What was the denominator multiplied by there? In that fraction? Up here, what was it multiplied by? I can point to it, just say the number. Thank you. And over on the other fraction, 6 over 12, what was the denominator multiplied by? Will? Nice, thank you. You're good at this. And then all you're doing is just expand that. So 4 times 4 is 16. So now that is equal to 16 over 12 plus 6 times 3 is 18. So 18 over 12. Now, these two fractions here, this fraction is exactly the same as this fraction. This fraction here is the same as this fraction. Because we've multiplied the top and the bottom by 3, it hasn't actually changed what the fraction is worth. If you type that into a calculator, it will spit out the exact same decimal. If I type 6 over 4, it'll give you the same decimal. And if I type 18 over 12, it'll give you the same decimal. Anyone want to have a crack at what the decimal will be? $1.5? No, that's right. It's beyond this anyway. And then to solve this, if I've got another slide for it, yeah. You just add or subtract those numerators together and the denominators remain the same. So 16 plus 18 is 34 over 12. And then, am I done? What's something that we always do with fractions? Who said it? Yeah, Coop got it first. Sorry, no. Always simplify. So, I've given you that there. I added them together. I'm sure you're all more than capable of simplifying. Remember with simplifying, so trying to simplify that 34 over 12, I want you to find a number that goes into both of those numbers. First thing you could do is look to see if they're both even, and if they're both even, I know a number that definitely goes into them both. But I'll leave that to you. Has everyone got the blue part written down? I'll give you another 10 seconds. And I'm just going to flick to the next slide so you can write. Get a head start on those notes. We've got 2 slides left. There's not much writing now. So 4 over 5 take 3 over 2. We need to get a lowest common denominator first because the denominators are not the same. So let's write our list. We got 5 and 2. Multiples of 5, 10. I'm not going to write any more because I've done this enough where I know that 2 is going to go into 10. So 4, 6, 8, 10. There you go. There's your lowest common denominator. And then to make 5 equal 10, let's rewrite our fraction first. And to make 5 equal 10, what do we have to do? What do we have to multiply it by? 2. And we need to do the same to the top then. So we need to multiply that 4 by 2 as well. And then that's going to be subtracted. And we've got 3 over 2 here. What do we have to multiply 2 by to get to 10? That was a tough one. Well done, Will. And that means we have to do the same to the top. So whatever we do to the bottom of a fraction, we have to do to the top when we're multiplying. And write it one more time without the red part. So 4 times 2 is 8. And that'll be over 10. Take 3 times 5 is 15. And that'll be over 10. So now it's just an easy equation. 8 take 15. What does that leave you with? Maybe it's not too easy. -7. That negative is important. Where you put the negative does not matter a whole lot. You can put it on the 7, you can put it on the 10, you can put it out in front. It will be the same thing, but I just like putting it up the top. So that's probably the working out I'd expect. The blue part, as we've practiced a little bit more, you could probably not do that for simple questions like this, where you'd know that the lowest common multiple is 10 between 5 and 2. Can everyone have a crack at the one on the right-hand side by yourself? And just call out if you have any questions. Let's look at 7 over 9 and 12. Lowest common multiple between 9 and 12. I just want to address, sometimes you can just multiply the denominators together. That'll be a multiple of both those numbers, because 9 times 12, it'll be a multiple of both those numbers. But it might not be the lowest possible one. So here, the lowest possible one is actually 36, because 9 times 4 is 36, and 12 times 3 is 36. So 9 times 4 will equal 36, and 12 times 3 is equal to 36. Do the same to the top. Second line of working. I wrote a 7 there, pardon me. That is incorrect, that is a 4. You've got 28 over 36 plus 9 over 36. 28 plus 9 is 37 over 36. So there's a lot of steps that you actually have to do, but you can do them pretty quick. And that's not much working out for a 2-mark question. I think that's more than achievable. I just want to do one more. I was going to give you some time to do some exercises out of the book, but we might do that next lesson. Now, if you forget about this bottom part, and you just pretend this is one big long equation, all you're doing is combining like terms. So it'd really say 2x plus 4 plus 3x take 9. So like terms there are 2x and 3x, and they're being added. It's a positive 2x and it's a positive 3x. So that is equal to 5x. And we've got a positive 4x and a negative 9x. What's that equal to? Other way, negative. So you start it, if you think about it on a number line, you're 4 in the positive and you take 9 away. So if you take 4 away, you're at 0. Then you take another 5 away. Yep. Negative 5, and that is over 12. Done. Seem easy? Now that I've worked through it, can I have a show of hands who thinks that's still extremely hard? And it's fine if you do. Who thinks that they could probably do that, they'd probably just need to practice a little bit more? Perfect. That's all I want you to be able to do. Can everyone please open up, I forget what. It's just a bit of an extension one. See if you can do this. Working through this one, they're not a common denominator. We need to make them a common denominator. What is the lowest common multiple of 6 and 4? 12. Now, if you got higher and you said 24, that's okay. You're just going to have to do more simplifying at the end. So we try and find the lowest common multiple to make it a lot easier for ourselves. Less work, which is what we exactly want to do. So to get to 12 from 6, we have to multiply it by 2. Now, we're not just going to multiply this 2 by 2 up the top. We have to multiply the whole thing. So I just like putting a bracket there and chuck a 2 out the front. Now we need to get 4 over the other side. So there's 4, we need to make 12 as well, so they're a common denominator. And to do that, we times it by 3. We've done that to the bottom, so let's do it to the top. Now, does everyone understand why I put a bracket up there? Yeah? Why? Nathan? Pardon? Because the bracket's first, you reckon? Because if I just write at the end of x minus 3, if I just write times 3, I might get confused and just do x minus 9. Because I've just times the 3 by 3. But I have to times the x by 3 as well, because that's a part of the top. So that expanded looks something like 2x plus 4 over 12 plus 3x take 3 over 12. Now, that kind of looks confusing, but what I said to Nathan is forget about the bottom and just look at this top part as one big long equation. So 2x plus 4 plus 3x take 3. Combine your like terms. You got a positive 2x and a positive 3x. So that's going to equal 5x. And you've got a positive 4 and a negative 3, so that's going to equal 1. And that's going to be over the top of 12. There's no common factors there. I can't factorise this equation on top anymore. Whereas if you said the lowest common multiple was 24, you might have been able to factorise this equation and cancel. We can't, we're done. Does that make sense? Adding and subtracting fractions. Does anyone have any questions about it? You don't need to yell it out in front of the class. I can come see you if you like. Yes, no? Cool. Everyone's a gun.